This week on Angelo's Workbench, we're going to finish off the hood, do a little bit of painting on parts, and we're going to do the beautiful seats. Stick around. So the only thing I've got left in the bottom of this hood is this little line. And I thought about just getting a toothpick and just dabbing it on and just getting a line. And I just know I'm not going to get a straight enough edge. So I'm going to try something I've never done before for something this small. I'm going to try masking it. Because the engraving is so good on this, I think that I can do it. I think that I can mask and spray this little line. I think that if I burnish this like this, and then I think if I take my razor blade, I'm gonna put my big eyes on for this. Let's see. Take the little eyes off, put the big eyes on. There we go. And don't poke yourself in the face with the knife when you're changing glasses. I almost did. So now if I do this and follow the line, there we go, and follow this side, then I think I've got it at this point. So I just need a little pair of tweezers. Yeah, and there you go. And then this I can just, cut, because that doesn't matter. It's over black anyway. I just need to make sure that I don't have any blue hiding under that tape. There we go. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to just shoot that with a little tiny bit of black, and then we'll see how it comes out. And we're back from the spray booth, and I'm just going to peel this off. And look at that! Hey, that looks better than if I had tried to do it myself. I love the little bit of overspray there, but that is because I neglected to put a piece of tape there. I didn't think I'd get paint that far away. But the nice thing about this paint is it's not water-based. The blue isn't, and the black is. So you just dampen a Q-tip, and that takes care of that. Which is why I wasn't too worried about the tape overspray, because it's so easy to remedy when you use oil-based paint and then do details of water base over it. So there's the hose for the, I don't know, maybe this thing had little doors that you opened to open the grabber. That's what it kind of looks like. I apologize. I don't know. But whatever it is, that little line is now black, which is what it was on the photo reference that I looked at. So that's that. And the back of this hood looks great. And now we can move on to detailing the other parts. The other thing that I have to do still is I do still have to bare metal foil this body, and I'm kind of looking forward to that because I haven't used bare metal foil in a very, very long time. I would always mask and spray my trims. So I'm going to, on this car, I have said I am going to try bare metal foil, and I have a brand new thing of bare metal foil to give it a whirl. So let's try that. So to catch up on where I am here, I have completed painting all of the black parts. Now they've just been painted black. There's no detail like the silver bolts on the fan. None of that is done yet. That will come later. Next I'm moving on to the aluminum parts, because there's a seat that I can't paint yet black, because I want to do the silver sections. This section and this section are silver, as well as this little tiny strip and this tiny strip here are silver. Then the centers are cloth, so they are a flat black. And then the outer edge of the seat will be the vinyl, the same vinyl black that I used on everything else. So there will be 3 colors actually on this seat, and it is a very cool looking seat, and so I don't want to miss the opportunity to detail that. While I'm doing the silver, I'm going to use the XF16 flat aluminum for the silver on the seats. I figured I would do the rest of the aluminum parts. You can also see that my chassis has gotten some black on it. While I was doing all of the black parts, I wanted to do these wheel wells, and I will leave this little overspray as part of that's how it was done and how it was built. And then when I'm doing the aluminum parts here, I will do a slight little bit of overspray from the side with the airbrush, and I'll show you that on camera. So I'm going to take all of my parts here that I can put on little clips, and let me think, is that going to work? No, because you're going to be able to see that. Yep, so these are going to have to go on the tape. And it looks like pretty much all of these are going to have to go on the tape. Oh, wow, look at that. I got a big, huge piece of sprue there that I neglected to sand off. So we're going to clean up these. So I'm going to have a look over these parts and make sure I don't have any more pieces of sprue hanging. Like right here, I must have forgot to clean this part. Alright, so I'm going to look these over, make sure that they look good, and then I'll get them onto tape and get them ready to go to the spray booth. And we're here at the spray booth. So I'm just going to test spray over here. Make sure I've got some color that I like. There we go. This is a XF16 Tamiya that I'm shooting. I'm just going to get all 360 degrees apart. Sometimes it's hard to tell where you painted already on the bare white. I'm not priming these parts because you don't need it. I typically only prime parts that I'm going to mask or handle extensively. Or if I'm using one of my other acrylic paints, the Tamiya series of paints, they don't tend to need primer too much. The paint sticks to the bare plastic very well. So, so that is, those are ready to go. Just getting tightening those valve covers a little more. And then I'll pop these in the dehydrator for about 10 minutes. And then transfer them over to the other side of the tape, the ones that need the other side done. The valve covers probably don't need the reverse side done because I'd be taking that paint off anyway to glue them. So I'll pop this into the dehydrator, which is actually located right next to the spray booth. And then we'll go on to what's next. I've got the seats here, and again, they have a little bit of silver that is on the stripe on the seat. So I'm just going to, it's a lot easier to paint these silver, the sections, and then mask the silver than it would be to paint the whole seat black and then mask the black to paint the silver. There we go. That's done. And so we'll just get a little bit of silver going here. And the molding on the seats is very nice. It'll be very easy for me to put my yellow frog paint over the silver to cover it, and then I'll spray the flat black centers, and then I will cover those as well, and then I'll spray the semi-gloss black around the outer edges, and then we'll have a three-tone seat, tri-tone seat. Should be very impressive looking in the interior. So then I have the chassis here, which just needs a light mist from the side, like they were when they were painting the car. I think that's plenty. And there we go. I'll just get a little in the back. You know, when they painted the car, they got overspray all over the place. There we go. And that looks the part for me. A little bit of silver because the bottom of the car is silver. And And that looks actually really good. So I think that'll be a finished product once I put all the parts on. That'll be, I still have to do the gas tank, so I will mask and spray the gas tank. And I'll do that with steel instead of aluminum. So it'll be a little bit of a different color than the exhaust to get that different metals underneath to make the bottom interesting. So then the only thing that's left here is I got a couple of mufflers that I was able to put on sticks. And I have a intake manifold here that's actually called out in the instructions to be blue. However, it is not. It should be blue. My photo reference confirms that, as did some YouTube channels that I watch on a regular basis. I saw them build this up. They notated the incorrect instructions. And we're done with silver. I still have to do the reverse side of those parts that are in the dehydrator. There we go. Looks good to me. And so we'll pull those parts out of the dehydrator, see how they're doing. They dry very quickly in the dehydrator, this acrylic paint, and these are dry. So now we'll just flip this over to get the other side. There we go, the other side of the alternator. I'm just going to kind of push these on here, make sure they're not going to go anywhere. The valve covers are fine the way they are. I don't need to do the opposite side of the valve covers. These from all four directions. There we go. Those can either go back in the dehydrator at this point, or I can just let them air dry. I'll just let them air dry. And so that's the silver parts. And we will be back. So now I'm preparing to mask this seat because it's silver, like this one is. So I've just cut a piece of tape off of my frog tape roll, and now I'm just kind of burnishing this with a fingernail. And I'll get in here with a little toothpick. Get a little toothpick going so that I can very easily see where the razor blade has to go. These seats are engraved so well that this really is a piece of cake. Very easy to see that line, even on the top where I had to sand a little. That line is very easy to see. So there we go. And I'm going to go around and just carry it out so that I can remove it easily. And there we go. There we go. So this part is going to be the part that stays. So this part has to go bye-bye. There we go. It's having a little bit of a hard time. Just need to go over it again. There we go. Okay, so then that part will end up being semi-gloss black eventually. And so now I just need to finish making my cut. There we go. And there we go. Now I can remove this side as well. And then I can pull the middle out, because the middle doesn't need to stay, because that part is going to be flat black. There we go. So I'm just going to burnish this down with my toothpick a little bit. There we go. And when I need to just finish this top off a little bit. There we go. And then when I spray my flat black and my semi-gloss black, I will do very light coats so that the paint doesn't gather behind the tape and make a mess of things. So there's the back seat ready to go. So now I just have to do the front seat. Now the front seat is just 2 straight strips. So I'm inclined to just cut a couple of straight strips and do it that way, because it'll be easier than putting the tape on the seat and then burnishing it and then making the cut. I can very easily just measure and cut a width of tape. And it doesn't even need to be perfect. It just needs to be, as they would say, close enough. There we go. I'll just cut that in half so I have 2. And I eyeballed it, actually, a little bit too wide. So there you have it. So I'll just make this a little narrower than the last run. There we go. I'm usually a little better at just eyeballing it. There we go. So now let's see how we did. Oh, that's perfect. That's much better. And I'm just getting it in place. And there we go. Need my toothpick to do a little burnishing. And then there is a little spot right here where it ends. There we go. And now we'll take this one, put it on the opposite side. Get on there. There we go. Now I can push that down. And then I can relocate the tape to where it needs to be. There we go. And again, the spot where it ends is right here on the edge of the seat. Whoop. Be a good idea to watch the finger too. I don't want to be known as 9-finger Angelo. There we go. And I'm going to burnish that down. And now that's ready for the flat black, which is only this little center section. So in order to prevent it from getting so much paint buildup, I might just throw a little mask here. There. And then I can go ahead and do the flat black center section. And then we can go from there. So there's that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that off. Because I don't need it. There we go. I think that center section is going to be cloth as well. No, it's a different material. Well, I'll decide when I'm painting it. But for right now, that's my seat. It's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and mask off the other seat. And then we're going to go to the spray booth. And then while we're spraying the flat black on the seats, we're also going to spray the flat black on the hoses and belts. The other parts that need to be flat black, we'll get that all squared away next at the spray booth. All right, time for some flat black. The only part that really needs it is the center portion. Again, I'm going very light. Make sure I get all the way up to the tape line. There we go. Then we'll do the same thing on this seat. Now this masking tape is going to stay on. And then I will mask over the flat black portion, and then go in and do semi-gloss black. And now I'm just going to do the remainder of the flat black part. Which is, you know, just hoses and belts. And I am using the Tamiya XF1 acrylic flat black. Mixed with the Tamiya X20A thinner. I like this stuff, it's my go-to. Looks great. And that finishes up the flat black parts. I'm going to pop these in the dehydrator, let them cure a little bit. You can see they're already getting nice and flat. I think it'll really look the part for the cloth. Once those finish curing, I can mask the flat black and go in with the semi-gloss for the edges. So the flat black has cured, and we are now good to go with the seat. But one of the things that I need to figure out is, hey, how am I going to hold on to this seat? So I've got a couple of little sticks that I keep handy for just such an occasion. Actually, I've got a whole box full of these little popsicle sticks. And so I just take a little piece of tape. Painter's tape, just regular old cheap painter's tape. And I just wrap it around the stick once. And then fold it back over on itself and stick it. And now I'm left with a sticky side that I can just stick the seat to. And look at that. Now I can paint the seat and I can set it down to dry, hopefully, not have it fall over. Or usually I clamp it into one of my holder clips just so that it can cure without falling over. So again, here's this. And just do that. Roll it back over itself. And then when I'm done, I just take a razor blade and cut it off because I saved the stick. Or if I don't want to save the stick, I just throw the stick away. That works too. So there there's that. And now these are ready to be painted. So I've got the regular black that I used in the rest of the interior in the airbrush and ready to go. So I'm going to go with light coats, very light coats. For a couple of reasons. I don't want to wet it out too much because I don't want it to run under the tape. But then also this paint looks very much like vinyl when you spray it on very lightly and from afar. Looks very much like vinyl. Leather. There we go. Now we got the back. And then that can go in the dehydrator and cure up nicely. Fire up the dehydrator. The tape on the bottom side actually held it upright in the dehydrator pretty nicely. So now again, shoot a little bit from afar. Sides because they're still white. And of course, I just ran out of paint, but I like my black bottle here, my black paint bottle. I just put a couple of drops in, and now I can continue. Pop that into the dehydrator to cure it. And then when we take off all of this masking tape, we should have a tri-colored seat, which should look very nice. So while we're waiting on those seats to dry, I have the steel mixed up in the airbrush. So I'm just going to do this gas tank real quick. I'll do the straps on the tank black just for some contrast. And then we have some other parts that have to be steel. And then what I'm using for steels is actually the old Testors enamel flat steel. I have used it since I was a boy. And I love it, and I mix it with a little lacquer thinner to spray it so that it cures a little more quickly. But just little Testors bottle flat steel. This stuff is great. I love the look of the steel. I love how it comes out, and the smell of the paint. It's not acrylic; it's enamel. The smell of the paint every time I'm using it reminds me of being a boy and building my models, all excited in the downstairs basement of our house in New Jersey where we lived when I was a kid. Whoops, I don't know what that was. It was a little crazy. But it reminds me of, going down there and working on my models. I remember, for some reason, I always remember building the Magnum PI Ferrari. That was like if I think back to building models, I remember that one. And there's a couple Camaros that I remember and stuff along those lines. But really, the biggest one I remember as a kid is, and I don't remember building all the other ones. I mean, I built a ton of models, but the Magnum PI Ferrari just sticks in my head. I remember the night I was putting that together. I was actually watching Magnum PI on TV while I was putting it together. And I think I was maybe 9, 10, crazy. But, so those guys are done, the one side, so I'll put them in the dehydrator, let them dry, and then I will flip them all over, do the opposite side, and then the steel parts will be ready to go. And the only thing left to paint is the motor. We're going to do that next. Well, let's see how we did on these seats. The seats are cured. So let's go in and take a look. Ooh, that's not necessarily great. You're gonna have to do a little touch up on the flat black. Apparently, something happened there. Apparently, the flat black didn't like to stick. Yeah, I'll just do a little touch up with a brush on the flat black on that seat. That's rather interesting. The same thing happened on this seat. Yeah, a little bit of touch up is going to be required. The silver stuck nice. That is a cool looking seat, I gotta admit. So we're just going to do a little bit of brush touch up on the flat black. And then the tricolor seats are looking pretty sharp. That's not horrible. And let's get back to it. That's going to wrap up video number 4 in the Revell 71 Boss 351 Mustang video series, the beautiful new tooling from Revell. Come on back next week where we will continue moving forward to final assembly. Go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe. All those things help out the channel, and I appreciate you very much. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, all as Angelo's Workbench. I'll see you next week.